So whenever we start talking about quantum, there's all these terms out there. There's quantum resilient, quantum resistant, quantum safe, post-quantum. What's the difference between all these terms? Is there one that we should be gravitating towards? Is there one that are misleading? Anything like that?
So the ones that we tend to hear most often are sort of quantum ready, quantum safe, post-quantum cryptography. And it is a little confusing. I mean, it's hard for me sometimes to keep track. But at the end of the day, we're really looking at, they do have slight differences and different nuances. A good example, for instance, is post-quantum cryptography, right? That is the algorithms that are being developed for protecting information in a quantum world, if you will, when that computer is eventually available. Then that will protect data, and basically make us quantum safe. In so much as anything is safe in the in IT security, right? And then some of the other ones that come out, so we talk about quantum computing and post-quantum and so on and so forth, and they're all sort of variations on a theme. It really all just sort of lends itself to a state in time where there's a quantum computer, which there are quantum computers today that are in use. But when we talk about it from a cryptographic standpoint and from an algorithm standpoint, we're really talking about the point in time when there's a computer that is a quantum computer that is capable of breaking traditional algorithms or assisting in the breaking of traditional algorithms. And that's really what we talk about, sort of the post-quantum era. So that's sort of the defining line of when that happens.
Awesome. So taking kind of that next step with whenever these algorithms get standardized and they get out there, that's great, but that's just step one, because now we have to start thinking about, can hardware and software and all of that support it? What do you see in terms of the supply chain having to change to be able to support all of this practically once we get the standards out?
Yeah, it's going to be a pretty difficult transition for a lot of organizations. The reality is that we have hardware today that could be capable of doing post-quantum cryptography, and there's probably things in the environment that are not capable of doing it. And certainly when we sort of extend that beyond our traditional sort of corporate assets into the IoT space and things like that, there's a lot of IoT devices that are very constrained, and post-quantum algorithms running on those devices is not even going to be possible. So, what I'm talking to people about is to sort of take it and look at it from an end-to-end perspective and understand the supply chain that an organization has. Things need to move in unison. So for instance, it's you can't update all your software in your organization, but not update your routers or your endpoints and all the things that also do crypto. There's going to be an incompatibility or mismatch. Things are going to need to move in a fairly synergistic way. You also have to sort of go beyond your four walls now, because most people are leveraging assets in cloud and outside of their organizations, and those need to be post-quantum ready as well. I mean, it's a classic problem. Security is only as good as the weakest link, and so organizations really need to look at that. But yeah, there's going to be a relatively big change that's going to have to happen in the hardware footprints and in cloud footprints in order to accommodate these new cryptographic algorithms.
So we had talked earlier about the key size difference is drastic from conventional to post-quantum. But then you said something interesting, and if you could dive into that on the processing time and some of the difference between the use of RAM, the use of CPU, and all of those different factors, in addition to just key size, are you seeing differences in performance?
So there's a series of algorithms. It's not just one. And they perform differently. I mean, the math, the way they derive their keys are unique and different. And so they've got sort of pros and cons to each and every one of them. En masse, the key sizes are larger than conventional key sizes that we see today with ECC and RSA. But that doesn't mean that the operations necessarily take longer as a result of the larger key size. So we're seeing sort of signing operations with the candidate that's called the lithium, being actually marginally less than traditional RSA algorithms with 1048 or 2048 keys. Sorry. So it's bigger key doesn't necessarily mean slower operation. There are things that are taking a little bit longer. So key generation takes a little bit longer. So when I create a key, that takes a little bit longer. But part of that is too because we're not using the most optimized hardware today. So there is a step that comes as these algorithms are standardized and rolled out and put through their real world scenarios, if you will, where we will see hardware optimization in order to make these keys be used effectively. But at the end of the day, there are going to be larger keys. So if I sign a piece of code or if I sign a document with one of these post-quantum algorithms using a key that comes from one of those algorithms, the reality is that package size is going to be bigger, and over time that could have impact on traditional networks or places where we've got slow links. So when you're doing a lot of sign traffic back and forth, for instance, over a constrained link, like let's say a satellite upload link, then that could start to become problematic because of the key sizes. And those are challenges that are going to have to be overcome over time.
So for those of us that might not have the history of and in cryptography, if we take a look at some of the original algorithms to where we are today in conventional, did we see a level of optimization of those to where key sizes were able to drop, but still be able to maintain that level of security? And could that be something that we see in post-quantum algorithms?
Yeah, what we've seen is generally, if we look at sort of Moore's law and computers are getting bigger and bigger and the size of the keys has lagged behind the size of the processing power, if you will. And therefore, we haven't had to deal necessarily with the problem of larger keys. We could create keys today that would be very problematic to use. We could go up into, massive key sizes, even with the RSA suites. But there's a reason we don't, which is the operational efficiency. And, the security is good enough and it's got a long enough lifespan. So, but if we sort of look at the history of crypto over, DES and other algorithms over time, some that have been deprecated now, the key sizes have got larger. It's just compute power has kept up and optimization has happened. So I would be surprised if we don't see that trend continue into the sort of post-quantum world to continue to maximize and make efficient the hardware for these keys.